Good evening, friends, followers and channel members. Happy Friday. And I thought, well, it's the end of the week. Why don't we go a little bit crazy and do something daft? Let's do a captain's only flight to Category C airports, departing from Tivat and landing in Innsbruck. And if that wasn't bad enough, we're doing it in the dark. And to make matters worse, we're in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is prone to CTDs at the moment until the upcoming hotfix number 2 is out. I'm sure we can't all wait for that. I really hope they fix it. I've been messing around today. I've had several crash the desktops today, so let's see how we get on this evening. Good evening to the Easyjetsimpilot channel members. Hello to Hyacinth, Dr. Magic, Dark Fury as well. Good to see you, and to Christian and Nick and Simon as well. Great to see you all here, and Ali, good to see you as well. Afix on Twitch, good evening to you. Right, well, the flight time is just under 2 hours, so we had probably best get started, hadn't we? We are on VATSIM as well, so we've got ATC if they're around. I don't think they are actually. There's several ATC around this airport currently online, but not actually this this particular airport. So flights in 1, 2, 3. What is a captain's only flight? It's basically these are airports which only captains are allowed to land at and depart from. Oh, that's an interesting parking position. That must be some different scenery and perhaps a different simulator. Is that Nick there spawning in the British Airways? And Resliver Music, good evening to you as well. Right, let's get on board. Let's start getting passengers boarded. Let's refuel. And let's pray all goes well. We're praying for several things. 1, for the simulator not to implode. And 2, for mistakes on my part to be at a minimum. Let's see how we get on, shall we? So as you can see, the aircraft is currently in a turnaround state, so that's good. Essentially, it's just landed here, and now we're going to have a look at getting it all set up for the return journey. So, Tivat to Innsbruck. Current QNH here is 1007, and the forecast in Innsbruck is actually quite good this evening, so no worries there. Already been ahead and checked that. Planned bulk fuel is just under 6.7. I think if we take 7.5, particularly as we have some weather spikes to contend with as well, which degrades performance, we'll take 7.5 tons, which is obviously a little bit more than we need, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and get that loaded. Now, if I'd thought about this correctly, I would have defueled the aircraft and then loaded fuel to make it a little bit more realistic, but there we go. Nick, is that you then that is flying alongside? Let's do this. Friday night full landings. How much gin have you had, Nick? Was it a bit too early for that? Right, defueling is underway. Okay, so we're just checking everything on the overhead. We've obviously got the fuel pumps off whilst defueling is taking place, and seatbelt signs are currently off. Current QNH 1017 is still all set. Let's just come down, check the pedestal, switching panel, audio panel is all fine. Thrust levers are not in the right place. Now they are. Engines 1 and 2, engines masters, spoilers, flaps, parking brakes, flight deck door, and last pilot didn't turn the transponder off. Let's set that to 2000. There we go. Talia Johnson, good day to you. Hope you are well. Up to the glare shield then, and we're going to do an initial climb out. I think for this is flight level 160, but we'll check the charts in a little while. So there we go. Flight directors 1 and 2. Instrument panels already on, IRS already aligned and checked, and we'll just check the ECAM status and pressure page. All fine there. Right, let's come up and have a look at the McDo. So, AOC, menu, performance, weight and balance. What have we got? 170 passengers. Oh, I've not given you guys the operational flight plan, have I? One moment. OFP is coming up just now for those of you watching on YouTube. Speaking of our YouTube subscriber base, I checked a little while ago, and wow, we're nearly at 14,500. Where's that come from? That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much to all of you. That really is fantastic. 14,500 subs. It wasn't that much a couple of days ago. Right, payload is 17,680. That's correct. Zero fuel weight is 58.7. And I'm just going to tell the crew they can now start boarding the passengers. Doors are open, passengers are coming on. Right, let's just faff around with the zero fuel weight centre of gravity. There we go. Alright, let's get the passenger weights added to the aircraft. And let's hit the payload button. There we go. Gross weight 66.1. I like these nifty little reflections here. They've probably been there all the time, I've just not noticed them, but I really do like that reflective surface just there. So that's really nice to see. Christian, thank you so much for your kind and very early donation there, Christian. And Christian says, happy flight. Thank you very much. Hope you're going to enjoy the flight with us this Friday evening. Okay, so on to the data page, and IRS obviously 3 nav green, that's good. And are we flying with an out of date AirX cycle at the moment? Oh no, we're not. We've got a valid AirX cycle. That's okay. Only just though. Okay, so init request. Let's pop our alternate in there. The alternate is Echo Delta Delta Mike. Is that Munich? Echo Delta Delta Mike. And flight number is Alpine. This is not a real world flight, I must add. Not a real world flight. So we're using my usual 34 Alpha Mike call sign. But we've gone, as we're in Europe, we've gone with Alpine 34 Alpha Mike this evening. Cost index of 8. Flight level 300 minus 34. Wow, that's low. Minus 34. And the tropo is, actually that's not far off, happy to leave the tropo where that is. Okay, so our flight plan. So, slight change to the flight plan. The flight plan has us departing on runway 32. That's not right, the winds have changed, so it's now going to be departing runway 14. And that is the Tib 3 Fox. Tib 3 Fox. Let me just clear that scratch pad before popping those in. There we go. And insert. Okay, let's just check that looks fine. So at 4:30 we make that right hand turn. Yep. Then we're at the TAS Tivat NDB. And then we've got TAS 13 and Tibri again. Yeah, 11.9 miles. And then TAS 13, and that takes us to Tibri. Beautiful. Okay, that looks good. The arrival then is runway, I think it's runway 8, isn't it? Runway 8. So that's going to be the RNAV. Is that Yankee or Zulu? I can never remember. Where's my charts gone? Zulu. RNAV Zulu. RNAV Zulu. And that's the Breno 3 Bravo. And insert. 537 miles. Flight plan's got 563 miles. Not too much of a discrepancy there. Hello Chumie, hello Climo. Good to see you guys. Dr. Magic, you noticed the video button worked today. It was the first time. That's worked for a while, that. Right. Let's check what this looks like on the navigation display. Let me just flick to plan mode. Zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so obviously those lines are rather they're rather abrupt, aren't they? As you can see on the chart, there's a little more of a bend there. Once FlyByWire gets their flight management system all sorted, then it will look a little bit more like this. But there we go, that's all right. Then let's scroll up to find what our arrival looks like. Just check all this is looking good, no issues there. Keep going, keep going. There's Bremo, there we are. And then after Bremo, that comes in via Elmem. Spot on, that's what I was hoping to see. And we can just cross-reference that. Elmem there, and that begins just here, the initial approach fix. Wonderful, so all that looks to be coded in correctly. Right, in the RadNav page, we need to pop a few things in here. So we want the Tivat NDB 345. I can put the identifier code in or the frequency. I'll just put the frequency in, 345. I can put the ILS DME in there, which is 111.3. And we're going to need these in the event of a engine out procedure, and I'll explain about that in a little moment. And then the other thing I'm going to pop in there, and this is just for situational awareness, is the Papa Oscar Delta VOR, which is all the way over here. Okay, so Lasty is an important waypoint on this departure, so I'm going to pop that into the progress page. Again, I'll explain why in a little while. LASTI. So if you're wondering why we're still on the ground after a long time, it's because there's lots to do at this airport. It is a complicated airport to depart from, and a lot of it is just safety and redundancy. You're planning for the worst, making sure if anything goes wrong, you know exactly what you're going to do to make sure that you and your passengers get out of here alive. Okay, now that's all set. Flight plan is coded in. We've got all our radar navigation beacons popped in. Zero fuel weight and zero fuel weight center of gravity, 58.7, 32.3, as that's fine. Our trip wind for today's flight is a headwind of 58. That's going to slow us down. My B&B time is going to be delayed this evening. Flight planning then, 5.2 tons of fuels, and we've got 7.4. Right, now that's all loaded. Just while the computer works all that out, let's get the fuel pumps on, and we'll get that APU running, because it's quite warm here in Tivat, even though it's night time. Dr. Magic, you've flown to Innsbruck a couple of times now. It's always ended really, really badly. Let's hope it doesn't end that way tonight. Alternate fuel is around, we'll call it 1.4 tons. So we've got extra flying time of 44 minutes, and that's enough time for a go-around. Bear in mind, if we have to go around at Innsbruck, that's not a quick go-around. That is a long, drawn-out procedure as well. So the performance then, transition altitude here is 10,000 feet. Thrust reduction and acceleration is it's actually 1008, but the simulator rounds it up, so that's 1010, 1010. The engine out acceleration, then, strangely enough, is different here. Is 1629. And again, that's just rounded up by the simulator. Flaps 1 for our departure. And in fact, you know what? What's the runway length here? Oh no, it's 2,500 meters. Yeah, flaps 1's fine. So V2 138, VR 134, V1 133. Okay, let's go through the briefing then. Hello to anyone that's just joined. You've missed nothing. We're just about to do our departure brief. So we are parked at stand number 3. So no pushback required. It's straight out taxi. We're then going to taxi out via taxiway and hold short at taxiway Bravo to then backtrack for departure runway 14. So that's essentially it, taxiing all the way up. In fact, we could possibly, I don't know what wingtip clearance is like here, whether we can just go to Alpha. That would make more sense rather than backtracking. So instead, we would do that. We'd go on, we'll hold at taxiway Alpha. But I do need to check that we're going to clear all the aircraft wingtips. If everybody is parked correctly, we should do. So we're going to hold here at taxiway Alpha. We'll then depart runway 14. At 430 feet, we'll begin that right-hand turn towards the TAS NDB, and then we'll follow the RNAV procedure, and we need to turn at or above 4,000 feet. Autopilot will be doing this for us at this point. Okay, and then off we go up to the Tivat NDB, which is called RO. Initial climb at or above flight level 160, so that's why I've got 160 coded in there at the moment. The weather here in Tivat is rather nice. Now, if we had an emergency, there are several other airports that I would potentially look to go to rather than returning to this one. It's not a straightforward airport to get into for anybody that knows it. We've got Dubrovnik, not too far away. That one's not straightforward, but it's a lot easier than trying to get in here. So unless we had something like an engine fire, basically something very, very serious like an engine fire, then we probably wouldn't look to return to this airport, even though we're under the maximum landing weight, so that's okay. Threats to be aware of: terrain, and more terrain. Let's just have a look. Based off the TAS NDB, 25 miles around it. So as we depart out, we've got minimum safe altitudes of 6,300 feet. And then as we turn out, it does drop as we head over the sea to 2,400 feet. But there's lots of terrain around us, and I don't know if the terrain radar is now working here in the simulator or not. I've just realised the Nightbot is giving duff information, so I apologise for that. I'll get rid of that now. Now I'm just looking as well for speed restrictions. Apart from 250 knots below 10,000 feet, I can't see any speed restrictions on this departure, so that's okay. But the biggest threat to us is the terrain all around. If anything goes wrong, usual applies. I'll not do a mass emergency brief here, but basically, if anything goes wrong on the taxiway, stop, tell ATC, and then we'll work out what it is we need to do, whether we can continue, whether we can solve the problem, or whether we need to return to the parking stand. Now, the fun and games here comes if we have a failure after V1. So we're committed to our takeoff, and there's nothing we can do. We have to take off. Now, this is a non-standard engine out procedure, so if we've lost an engine, then we really need to be careful. So if we do have a failure after V1, we'll continue to get the aircraft into the air as we have to. If it's an engine failure, we'll fly the aircraft using the standard technique of 12.5 degrees pitch, and we'll follow the SRS, use the rudder to counteract any roll, and then once we've got positive rate of climb, we'll get the gear up, and we can then trim out the yaw, and once we're nicely trimmed out, autopilot will be engaged. As we do that, however, we must pull the heading bug, otherwise the aircraft is going to continue to follow this SID, which we don't want. Hang on, let me just turn that. There we go. We don't want it to follow the SID. Exactly, we do not want that, otherwise we won't be high enough, basically, because we've lost an engine. So, as it's a non-standard engine out procedure, we're going to use a couple of things here, and we've got the Tivat VOR, and we should have showing, I don't know why it's not showing down here, we should have showing the distance from the localizer, the TIV localizer. If I just go back to the RadNav page, 111.3, I'll tell you what, let me just try putting 111.3 in here, and the pod VOR in on number 2. So let me just turn that there. There we go. I've now got the localizer. I'm not sure why the LS isn't bringing that up. It should have done. It might do as we start moving, but nevertheless. In fact, I don't need the pod so much as I need the NDB. So let me go and pop that in over there, and now I can flip that on. To be fair, even then I probably got that the wrong way around, because I need the direction showing, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but everything you put in on the right hand side shows up on the first officer's displays. Everything you put in on the VOR1 side, left hand side, shows up on the captain's displays. And as I only need the distance here, but I need the direction of the NDB, let me flip those over. So 111.3 there, and that's better. Okay, so engine out procedure. Once we are 0.7 miles from TIV, the localizer, shown just here, we make a right turn to a heading of 155, so we're flying directly towards the TAS NDB. At the TAS NDB, we make a right-hand turn to 179 degrees, and then at 3,500 feet, it's a left turn to the Lasti holding point, which is why I've got that programmed in just here. And it's a holding point entry at 38 degrees and right hand turns. Okay, so that's the emergency brief all done and dusted. Our passengers are now also on board as well. We can lock the doors.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board our Easyjet service. Please place your large bags into the overhead locker, wheels first, and keep your small items under the seat in front of you. These include laptops, handbags, duty-free and loose items of clothing. Once you have safely stowed your cabin bag, please take your seat. To help us ensure a prompt departure, we would kindly ask that you keep the aisle clear, enabling all remaining customers to board. Your seatbelt can now be fastened ready for departure. This is a no-smoking service. Thank you for observing this policy.
Thank you.
I've just had Dark Fury saying he's pushing back facing southeast. That's slightly confusing. Lufthansa at Tivat, you're pushing back facing southeast. Can I just question which runway you're using for departure?
That would be 14. We're going via Bravo, backtracking down 14 to take off on 14. Lufthansa 15 Foxtrot.
Roger, okay, that makes sense. Thanks. Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Okay, yeah, so...
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, it's just the way you're facing. There's no point me pushing back and facing southwest to taxi down Alpha, because I'll just be in your way.
I don't want to exchange paint with you, that's fine.
Roger that.
That's Dark Fury. Okay, good. So we're all set. Passengers' doors have now all been locked. Now, as for pushback, we've just heard that the Lufthansa is starting to push back, and he's going to face that way. So we're going to make a call, because what we'll do is once he's out of the way, we'll get our engine started and move. In fact, we don't need to make the call just yet, because it's going to take a while to get the engine started, and we've got aircraft behind us. So let's run the before start checklist to the lines. So our cockpit preparation is now all complete. Our signs are on and auto. RDs we check 3 nav green. Fuel quantity is 7480, loaded and balanced. FNGS is coded correctly, we've checked that. Altimeter is 1007. Okay, so no pushback required. Let's get the rotating beacon light on. We'll get the engine started in a moment. So as I say, we're not going to need a pushback tug. We'll welcome everybody on board. And the air pressure is knocked in the green. We should be able to, if we want to just get that, the electric pump should get that back in the green. It's because I haven't opened the cargo doors, so that hasn't pressurized. Get the transponder onto standby.
Speedbird 464, the reverb in your background is awful. The what, sorry? The reverb on your mic from your background noise is awful.
I think it's feedback.
Okay, thanks for that.
Tivat traffic Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, starting engines on stand 3. So, before start checklist, let me just clear the SD page. Windows and doors are closed and on, rotating beacon light is on, mobile phone is on silent, and parking brake is on. Let's go ahead and start the engines. I can turn the pump off now as well. So, engine mode selector to ignition, starting engine 1. Danny, sorry, yes, I did see your question. Yes, an offset localizer. Another reason why this is a captain's only landing.
Tivat traffic, November 150 is taxiing via Bravo, off to Bravo, backtracking down, runway 14.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck this morning, let me welcome you on board this morning aircraft as you settle in for what we hope is going to be a most enjoyable flight. The weather today doesn't look to be posing much of a problem, so we should have a nice smooth ride for you throughout the duration of the flight. And as the cabin crew continue making their last preparations, if you could please assist them by getting yourselves sat down, your seatbelts fastened, and make yourselves nice and comfortable. The ground crew have now finished loading the aircraft, and we're just about finished with all our pre-flight checks, so it won't be long until we are pushing back. If you could please give the cabin crew your full attention as they go through the safety briefing, we'd very much appreciate it. So on behalf of myself and the first officer, we'd like to say thank you for choosing Easyjet today, and we look forward to giving you a safe flight. Okay, engine 1 started. Let's get engine 2 started. I see quite a few questions coming up here, ones that I all want to answer, but if you could just bear with me whilst we get out of here, concentrate on getting the departure, I can I'll invite you to ask your questions again so I can get you sorted. Things like landing with ILSs and VORs, no, they're not the same, they're quite different. Happy to go through that. Differences between the ADF and VORs, again, happy to go through that. But just not right at the moment. Let's get airborne, and then we've got plenty of time to chat. We've got a good hour's cruising time, so plenty of time for us to get through those questions. I hope the hotfix sorts this out as well. Glowing pink aircraft. So we're just looking for good positive engine starts. Number 1's good. Number 2's spoiling up. There we go.
Ask for your attention while we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft.
Engine mode selected to norm.
In your seat pocket, showing
APU
exit routes,
off.
oxygen masks, life jackets, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4
Spoilers.
in the middle,
Rudder.
and 2
flaps.
at the front of the cabin.
And the trim setting is 30.2. Correction, 32.3.
In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted, and released as shown.
After start checks, anti-ice not required, ECAM status is checked, pitch trim is 32.3, rudder set 0. Flight control check, full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, rudder, full right, rudder, full left, and neutral. Now, I'm just going to have a quick check to see if we can get down via Alpha. Oh yeah, no issues.
Do not inflate it inside the aircraft.
Not quite sure what the GPU is doing there. I thought we got rid of him.
If it fails to
There he goes.
or needs topping up, blow into the tube. There is a light and whistle for attracting attention. We also carry flotation aids for children. Your tray table must now be
So, no pushback to worry about.
window blinds open.
Taxi light can come on. I will make our announcement
A pleasant flight.
on Unicom. Tivat traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is taxiing now from stand 3 to holding point Alpha for runway 14 departure. And we'll ding the cabin whilst we're here.
Tivat 464 will taxi to runway 14 via Alpha after the Easyjet passes from left right.
Speedbird Nick, I can hear myself on your VATSIM calls. Turn me down. Dark Fury says his departure is turning the wrong way. Oh, that's bad, isn't it? So a nice steady turn just there. And it's a short taxi. So let's do our PEDS check. QNH 1007. That hasn't changed. It's still going to be a Toga departure. Engine out procedure, non-standard if you recall, and at 0.7 miles from the TIV ILS we need to turn a right turn to heading 155 direct to the NDB, the TAS NDB. Departure matches what we have on the FMGC. And stop altitude is 16,000, showing 16,000 blue at the minute. Before takeoff checklist to the line. Flight controls checked, departure briefing confirmed. Flap setting config 1. FMA takeoff data is 133 blue, 138 magenta. Climb nav blue, 16,000 blue, 152 and Toga. Transponder set, ECAM memo, takeoff, no blue. Electronic flight bag is stowed. Quite eerie, this airport at night, isn't it? Okay, there's our holding point, there's our departure runway, and of course we can see the terrain glowing in the background. Okay, so let's just check everything else. Brake temperatures are fine, that's all good. Let's get ready for our departure then. So, strobes, runway turn-off lights, landing lights. Transponder, TCAS. Before takeoff checklist below the line. Cabin is secured. Engine mode selected to norm. TCAS TARA, PAX off. Anti-ice not required. Let's line up. Tivat traffic, Alpine 34 off mic, lining up for departure at runway 14 on the Tivat 3 Fox departure. The ding's there to tell us that our cabin crew are seated. That's from self-loading cargo, of course. We look at the ECAM in the sim to make sure we know that that's right. Is TCAS working? Yes, it is. Okay, so I've got the terrain radar on, but sadly, as I say, I don't think that works. Sadly. Okay, so final check. We're going to depart, and then at 430 feet, we're going to begin that right-hand turn following the flight directors. Last final paranoia check down here and up there. Everything looks good. Okay, so the first part of our difficult airports this evening, taking off from Tivat. Let's go. So, takeoff. Start the chrono and set 50% N1. Stable and set takeoff thrust. Mantoga SRS. V1 rotate. Right hand turn now started. And now we start to accelerate away. Thrust climb, climb, pack 1. Oh, the terrain radar's kicked in. Excellent. That's definitely going to come in useful as well as we get to Innsbruck. So you can see, following that green just there. And you can see the various NDBs and localizer beacons coming in. We've now got this showing as well, which is nice. Wasn't showing on the ground, which I could understand as we were on the ground, perhaps blocked by terrain, but then it was showing on the VOR reading just there. Right, we've passed S speed, flaps 0, ground spoilers disarmed. So we're going to be at or above, definitely above 4,000 feet before we get here, so that's fine. We're still at the moment inbound to the TAS NDB. Remember, autopilot is not yet on. I'm wondering why the no smoking sign isn't on. We can ignore the flight directives for the minute. We have to fly over the TAS NDB. So don't turn just yet. And you can see there, we have to fly over the TAS NDB. When we are 11.9 miles from TIV, that's when we're going to make that right hand turn. So that's another reason I wanted to hand fly this departure. Of course, in the real aircraft, it wouldn't be doing this. Everything would be hard coded in. So I'm just having to manipulate that a little bit. Once we've got to 11.9 miles, then we'll make the right hand turn. Otherwise it would have it doing far too soon, and there is some terrain down there that I don't fancy meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seatbelt
11.9 miles
fastened
coming
while
up.
the seatbelt sign is on.
So now let's
We
make that
recommend
turn.
that you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated. Toilets are located at each end of the cabin. Remember that smoking is not permitted at any time. This includes e-cigarettes.
And of course we're not looking out the window because, well, there's nothing to see. It's dark. Okay, what I can do now is now I'm happy for the autopilot to take over. So autopilot 1 engaged. I'm going to get the pack 2 now back on. 10,000 feet. We can get our lights off. And with no ATC around, let's just set a slightly higher, well, our cruise altitude tonight is flight level 300, so let's just check the prog page. That should be absolutely fine. Yeah, no issues going to that. So we're now climbing up to our cruise altitude, flight level 300, 300 blue, confirmed. And now we can just start to see the horizon for the first time as I look up. Really was not looking out of the window there. Okay, so what we're also going to do is just check in the ISA conditions. We know live weather is still bust, and I've still not had a chance to sort Rex out. So what I am going to do, we've just got a few clouds, so I'm just going to go to a weather preset as well. So let's just set that there. So you can see now what the aircraft's autopilot and flight management system is doing. It's basically turning us all the way around to intercept this, whereas the real aircraft would have come out and then made a nice arc to bring us in this way. This is going to get us back on track and then make a left-hand turn, where of course the real aircraft would not have done that. So everything's looking good. We can now continue and clear the RadNav page out. We no longer need any of those. Yeah, realistically the NDB ADF would not be flickering like it is doing. What happened to the seatbelt signs? I thought they were on. There we go. Going to leave the terrain button on for now. We've got lots of high terrain beneath us. Nick, have you got toga lock? Right, you've lost airspeed, so toga thrust is locked. The way to get rid of that is to gain airspeed, lower your nose, and you must push your thrust levers to toga and take off auto thrust. Once you've got your airspeed back, reduce them back to climb thrust and get your auto thrust turned back on. Talia, I've seen a few people say that the bug in the sim also impacts the inserted weather from Rex. So it's not a foolproof way of sorting it out, is it, sadly? Danny, yeah, Dubrovnik is down there. We can see it's 15 miles away, so I think if we have a quick look, there's Dubrovnik. So had we have had a major problem, that would have been my... oh, sorry, not a major problem. Had we had a minor problem and had to land, that would have been my choice of place to go. Still not the easiest place to get into for anyone that's tried landing in Dubrovnik. Terrain around there, no ILS. Tommy, how do I get the A320 the turnaround state? You can't. I cheat. I load everything in. I then start the stream. You can't have it in the turnaround state after you've pressed the fly now button. So apologies if I got your hopes up there. Right, I'm happy now that both crew and passengers can get out their seats.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has now turned off the seatbelt sign and you are now free to move around the cabin. We do recommend, however, when in your seat, that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times in case of unexpected turbulence. The toilets are now available. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
So James on Facebook says you're still having trouble with the A32NX dev version not allowing you to use the direct function without deleting the flight plan. Yep, been there, my friend. I tend to find it only deletes the flight plan if you go direct to a waypoint on the star. Have you tried it going direct to any other waypoint that's not on the star? So Brian Crawley, yeah, I was just going to say, if anyone had got questions, now's a decent time to start asking them. It is safe now to ask ask questions. Mihajlo, apologies for the pronunciation, but it did almost do the arc, didn't it? It'll be better once FlyByWire have got their own custom guidance system in place, flight management system in safe. Nick, thanks, all done, no idea what happened there. You'll have just lost airspeed, presumably potentially because of the temperature. Then again, you've got Rex, haven't you, so I don't know how don't know how that's working for you. We're at flight level 230. I don't see any problems coming up, so happy to turn the terrain radar off. So if we think this is interesting, we're going to be landing in Innsbruck in the pitch black. That's going to be fun. And as it's runway 08, it's going to be the RNAV, no localizer to follow either. So that's going to be even more fun. I'm not sure how well the RNAV is coded in for runway 08, so we shall wait and see. Thank goodness the terrain radar is working. Ice Cream, you just finished full flight from Atlanta to, is that Charlotte? Excellent, well done. Particularly on VATSIM, really good. Dr. Magic, you hope they fixed the right mouse button thing. You've been caught out a few times. Yes, I certainly have, particularly on final, when making a base turn or something like that, or even when taxiing onto the stand. Rather than music, any idea when the custom LNAV is coming? No, I'm afraid not. It is, I have tested an early version of it, but there's still a little way to go. James, you were on the SID from Manchester at VATSIM and ATC directed you to the last waypoint. I'd have been tempted to pull heading and fly in heading mode to the last waypoint, and then after you were off the SID, then you'd have been able to go direct to the next waypoint after that. And Dan, can you feel safe installing the free FSUI PC in Mag? Yes, you can. Just make sure you get the latest version. I think I was updated a few days ago. MPS Gaming, I don't know when the patch is going to be coming out. I would imagine early next week now. Richard, you are fascinated with flight simulation generally, and you're appreciative of the of my expertise. Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. Anything I don't know the answer to, I will endeavour to try and find it for you. Dark Fury, great time to land at lower. Your ISA is plus 20 with Rex at 280, is that correct? I mean, it is warm here, isn't it? So that's not too bad. If your ISA is only is 20 plus, that's okay. You shouldn't be burning mass amounts of fuel. Talia, you're now thinking of airplane and Johnny unplugging the airport lights. Oh, those lights better work in Innsbruck. Brian, you're confused about how to get the full flight plan into the flight management computer from SimBrief. You load it into the pad, okay? Do you mean the tablet? How do you get all the waypoints in the FMGC? Brian, I think the easiest thing I could do is go back and watch the start of the stream. Do you know what? Actually, don't watch this stream because I did it. I sort of preempted it. I was in a turnaround state. But basically, once you've done your SimBrief flight plan, what you'd need to do is go to the McDo menu, ATSU, AOC, init press. This is important. On the AOC menu, you need to do init press. There, you press the init data request. That brings in this information here, which is essentially your SimBrief information. Then you go to the init page, and then this will line up to be able to import everything. Once you have selected that there, your flight plan should populate. And it normally takes 2-3 minutes. It's not an instantaneous thing. It will take 2 or 3 minutes, so just let that happen. And then you'll be, hopefully, you'll be there in no time. Richard, thank you so much for joining the channel. Richard, really, really do appreciate that. Welcome to the Captain's Club, Richard. Free drinks for you now on all future flights. When you get on the aircraft, you may now turn left. Well, that's a lie. EasyJet don't have first class. But thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. We're now at speed alt cruise, flight level 300. And you know what? I'm going to go higher. I don't see anything on TCAS. Flight level 300 is quite low. So we can go higher, which means we're going to burn less fuel. So let's go to flight level... actually, we just need to check the project. We can go flight level 380. Excellent. So let's go flight level 380. Thrust climb, climb. N1 increases, engine speed increases. We hold this speed by climbing. So yeah, Richard Knight as well. Again, thank you for becoming a member. And also, if you're not yet on our Discord server, come and join us on there. Kira, the development version crashes your sim to desktop. I've had this a couple of times. Well, no, I tell a lie. I've had it once. The first time you load it, it will crash. I don't know why, it just does. The second time you load it, presuming you go into the same airport, it seems to work fine. So it's almost, I said this the other day to somebody, it's almost like it needs initializing. You have to do it once, then it's happy, and you're good to go. And it's strange, isn't it? We're just all hoping that that'll become fixed after an update from Azobo, whenever that may be. George, do I think the A320 Microsoft Flight Simulator is realistic enough compatible with Expert? Do you know what, George? You're not going to get any better immersion in a simulator than you are in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, a lot of the systems, of course, have yet to be replicated in terms of practicing for check rides, emergencies, sim checks. But for day-to-day flying, you know, imagining you've got a fully serviceable aircraft, yeah, yes, I'd fly Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I particularly like the weather effects in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think they're done beautifully, better than any other simulator, certainly.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase a selection of hot beverages, together with drinks and snacks from the bar. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated. And if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Martin, thank you so much, Martin, for your donation. I hope you're well and have had a good week, and I've got something decent planned for the weekend. You're very kind, Martin. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us on board this this flight. What you often find, I say, we've dubbed this flight a captain's only flight just because of the two airports that we're flying between. There are 5 what are considered Category C airports around Europe, and some of them are a lot easier to get into than others, but what makes things like Innsbruck difficult is the terrain. Now Innsbruck is not that difficult to get into. Innsbruck, coming in on the localizer, etc. A little bit more difficult on the approach that we're doing tonight, the RNAV for runway 08, or the RMP. But what makes it difficult is the amount of knowledge you need for if something goes wrong. So imagine you're on the approach and suddenly you lose an engine, or something severe happens. You need to know how to get out of it. You need to know what to do safely. That's where the pilots earn their money. Father said, do I know why as soon as you start VPilot you get a massive freezes and frame rate problems? Have you got the latest version of VPilot? I would perhaps uninstall that and then reinstall a new version just in case. Danny, what is the ISA in the climb phase for the A320X? Is it around 290 knots? It all depends on your all depends on your cost index, the airline's cost index. Remember, once we're climbing, we're probably talking more about max speed than indicated airspeed. Because you can see now, indicated airspeed, we're at what, about 257, 258 knots. Fernando, thank you for subscribing. James on Facebook says heading wasn't working. You've tried. Okay, now I've heard a few people saying heading's not working. I think you've got to remember to pull the heading bug as well. That you can't just turn it left and right. This doesn't work. If you just turn it left and right, your aircraft isn't going to follow the heading bug. You can see the little blue triangle there spinning around. You have to actually pull it to engage it. So if I now pull the heading bug, then that should put you into heading mode. He says suddenly having the same problem. What's going on there? I'm still in nav mode. Why am I not? Oh, okay. Well, this is new. I've not had this problem before. Alright. Well, I'm going to go back into nav mode anyway. Oh! I can't even go back into nav mode. Oh, I am back in nav mode. I've now got a solid green line and navs showing. What's going on there then? When did that bug appear? Okay. If I turn autopilot off... Can I now go into heading mode or nav mode? No? Okay, well it's changing there. I wonder if it's just a sim display error, because you're still getting the green solid line, you're still getting the green dashed line. But no, okay. Well, looks like I'm stuck in nav mode. Perhaps turning the flight directors on and off will reset that. There's Mac Alt Cruise. Might have a little play with that in a moment to see what's happening. Yeah, I've not come across that before. Why on earth is that? How very, very strange. I don't like that. Brian, have they announced it's going to be Tuesday? Okay. It's going to be Tuesday then. Reykjavik, hi, do I also have the bug where the plane chases in high altitude? I'm sorry, I don't quite follow. Right, well we're now at the top of climb.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, we'll be delighted to hear that we're now at our cruising altitude, and we hope to give you nice views throughout the flight as we have good weather ahead and shouldn't be experiencing any turbulence. Of course, this means that you will not spill any of your drinks that you may have from the cabin crew as they begin to start making their way around the aircraft. Could you please ensure that the eyes are kept clear so the cabin crew can offer you their cabin service, which will begin shortly. A reminder that Easyjetsimpilot channel members are able to access free drinks throughout the duration of the flight. Thank you, and I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the remainder of the flight.
So the hot fix is coming Tuesday. That's good news. Lisa, how far can the A320 fly with no payload? That's an interesting question. It can do 3,500 miles, but that's with payload. Oh, take the payload off, it can probably do more. That's how they deliver some flights to far off countries. They literally fly a shell. There's usually no seats or anything on it. You've just got the flight deck, the fuel, and of course the pilots. Nick, I haven't got Orbex Lowy. No, only for the simple reason that I think the default is pretty good. So that's okay. Right, so now we're at our cruising altitude. We've just passed over Split. How very dark. It's eerie, isn't it? Highly realistic. Highly eerie. Darren, is my flight pad working? Yours is a white screen in the stable build. I haven't got the stable build. I'm still on the dev build. What's that? I can see a rain cloud near Innsbruck. Go away. Oh no, I think we're good. No, it's okay. It's more over Switzerland than Austria. Hi Cynthia, your sim wasn't crashed yet after the last update, but you're only flying small jets. Huh, I might stick with that. But yeah, who was it a moment ago that said that you've had problems with the first time you load into a new airport, the sim crashes. After that, it's fine. Yeah, I've had that. What can I do to reset the FMAs? Okay, so I'm going to turn Autopilot 1 off. I'm going to turn the flight directors off. I can't engage nav mode. Okay. Oh, I'm now in heading mode. And now I'm in nav mode. Oh, okay. So, if you're having a problem, faff around with your flight directors. There we go. And we're back to alt cruise. There's a bit of troubleshooting for you. I don't think you have to do that in the real aircraft. If you happen to do that in the real aircraft, I'd be slightly concerned. So our routing today, anyway, let's have a quick look. Then we'll do some top of climb checks as well. So we're now just headed towards Zulu Delta Alpha, which is here. And if I zoom out from there, you can see where we're going. So let's have a look at some en route weathers and see how we're doing there. let's see which airports are we going to have a look at. We obviously want to get the weather for Innsbruck just to see how that's going. But let's see. If we come down and have a look in the ATSU, AOC and weather request. Okay, so we'll pop Lowy in there, obviously our destination airport. After Lowy, let's have a look at some of our alternates. So Venice, have a look at that. That's on our way as we're going. We've also got Pula and Zadar, which is LDZD. Never been there. And what was the other one? Pula, LDPL. So we'll send those off. Just keeping an eye on the TCAS. We've got one here the same altitude as us. 20 miles away. Can we see any flashing lights yet? I think he's going to cross our path from right to left. Hopefully before we have any issues. Just having a quick look to see if we've got any air traffic control online. Swiss radar, Budapest radar, Eurozone North. But sadly, none for us. That's a shame, isn't it? Brian, you love flying into Innsbruck. it's good. It's just good fun, isn't it? Sam, you're surprised that someone else actually knows about Tivat Airport. Tivat Airport is... there's a reason people don't go to Tivat. It's not an easy airport to get into. Our last flight was, of course, to Tivat, and that was fun. Thankfully without issue. So Lowy, what we got? We got 360 at 3. Fairing 3235. Oh, there's a chance we may be changing. Ceiling and visibility okay at Pisa. Ceiling and visibility okay as well at both of our en route weathers. So what I'm actually going to do, because I'm using a weather preset at the moment, I'm just going to change that to high level clouds. Not that it matters too much at night time. Ryan 191, no, we're not on live weather just because it's bugged out. Sadly. So there's an aircraft below us, about 5 miles in front of us, 5,000 feet below us. Can we peer over the deck and have a look? I can't see him. Mind you, textures are broken as well, aren't they, since Sim Update 5, so there's chances are we're probably not going to see him, unfortunately. So that's a shame. I like the little glow of the towns and cities that you can just see, all the roads linking up between the hot spots of light. Darren, is anyone else's speed indication jumping all over during their flight after the sim update? only with different weather injections. We need to do a fuel check, don't we? I'll assume my PM went through the SD pages. But what we burnt about 2.2 tons of fuel. What did we depart with? 7.5 tons. Good to see landing elevations working. Obviously Innsbruck is nowhere near sea level. Faraz, you did butter on your video. Have you got low fat spread? .16 tons, 567, 7.35, 60. Yep, spot on, no fuel leaks. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud with my mental arithmetic. 24 degrees in the cabin, doors all armed, wheel temperature brakes are fine, all computers working, systems normal. I always do wonder how far behind you guys are on the stream compared to what I'm seeing live here. So if you just check, obviously we're on UTC time or Zulu time. That's the live time showing. Compare that with what time you're watching at home. See how many minutes I am behind you, or rather, how many. Yeah, I would be behind you, wouldn't I? Yeah, if the stream's slightly delayed. The fact the speed wasn't in managed mode then really didn't matter. 0.78 is fine for a cost index of 8. Darren, you've had the same issue with the heading book. Well, at least now you know how to fix it. Danny, am I following the football news a bit? Only that Jack Grealish has gone for, what is it, £100 million? £100 million. I could buy a D-level sim for that. Tommy, how do I know the trim? You mean for takeoff? So simplest way. Fuel prediction. There. Centre of gravity 32.7. Oh, I like that they've added that. The fuel's now showing amber. If it's low. Brian, outside temperature is looking absolutely fine because I'm on preset. I'm not on live weather. We'll pop it on the live weather as we're coming into Innsbruck, though. Hi, Ross. IFR. Definitely IFR for a commercial flight. Richard, you'll use FlySim 2020 in the Easyjetsimpilot channel when instructing in high school science classes. Both the aerodynamics and earth science is entertaining and educational. Oh, that's what we're hoping for. The whole point of the channel was to was set up to help people with Microsoft Flight Simulator and the Airbus A320, of course. Reykjavik, you mean that the speed of the aircraft suddenly changes and the engine power becomes worse, and because of that you often can't reach the desired altitude. What's your temperature, outside air temperature, at that time that's happening? Right, so music, you've pretty much been flying the DC-6 since the update. Not worth the hassle with any other aircraft. I can get that. I understand that. Okay, so let's do a fuel check. We've got an aircraft 10 miles at our 2 o'clock. Same altitude as us. Let's just keep an eye on him. So, loss. What fuel do we have? What fuel did we... how much extra fuel did we take? That's what I should have worked out. So planned block was 6-6, or call it 6-7. And we took what, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We took 8 extra, and we've got 200 kilograms extra, so we should be showing about a ton extra fuel. Let's have a look. What was that waypoint called? Los Lima Oscar Sierra. Where is that? Oh, there it is. So we've got about 4.7, 4.8 tons of fuel. Oh, we've got much more. Brilliant. Mind you, we're flying at 380, and this was set for 300, so you could probably work out. So we're 8,000 feet above our altitude. So it's given us difference for 200 feet below, 2,000 feet below, 4,000 feet below. Doesn't give us for flying above, but then again, flying above doesn't matter. You know you're going to gain extra fuel with that. If you're flying below, of course, then that's where you need to be a little bit more concerned. GD, last night you had the plane screaming at you, please expedite the flight level for nearly 2 hours. You think you were at the required flight level. Another reason why I don't use default ATC. So we should be on the ground in about an hour, something like that. What was the flight time for today's flight? 1 hour 39 minutes. Yeah, we should be on the ground in an hour, if all goes well. Which would be nice. I'm going to keep an eye on the weather though at Innsbruck, because we may change our arrival. Wind 360 at 3. Technically, runway 08 is still the preferred runway, but only by 10 degrees. Scott, you've just taken off, you're way behind, save you some cheese. Brian, this is VATSIM. This is VATSIM. Ross, good evening. Ross says, watching me makes you feel like such a noob, even though you are. You can find the Cessna 172 and that's it. Working towards more though while watching the channel. Very informative though, you have to say. Well, Ross, if it makes you feel better, I too started out in the 172 years ago in the real world as well. So certainly don't be disheartened by that. And even in the early Microsoft flight simulators, I think we all started out flying the Cessna 172. Or was it the 152? I think it was the 152 in Microsoft Flight Simulator, the early days. Milhasho, obviously daft for the topic, not an engineer, but why place the runway like that and why bother with the localizer? Which airport we're talking about, Tivat or Innsbruck? Scott, yeah, it just means I can get the table with the restaurant and order the wine. 007, how long till we arrive? About an hour. We've got an arrival to brief though first.
just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase from our selection of fresh food available today. Full details can be found in your in-flight brochure. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated. And if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
So I'm now just seeing you guys telling me how delayed the stream is. About a minute, 55 seconds, sorry, 54 seconds, 45 seconds. What's concerning me is I'm reading that chat now. It was about 5 or 6 minutes ago I was asking you guys that, I think. I think we're going to have to do some sort of test. I think my... oh, hang on. Oh, guys, I'm miles behind you. Oh, my chat window has scrolled up. That's how. That's why you're so far behind. Or rather, I'm so far behind you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Right, I'm scrolling down to the bottom, and I'm with you, Dark. You see me above you. So everything I've missed between that and Dark Fury's comment there, I apologise. I have no idea why I was so far behind. How crazy. Maybe you thought I was all being very slow to respond to you guys. Well, there's a reason why. Because my chat window was about 6-7 minutes behind you. Nick meters showing on the standby. Yes, that is new. Danny, I am now up with the chat. Say yes in 10 seconds, but it's going to take you 50 before you hear it. Wayne, good evening, mate. When did you pop in? You could have popped in any time in the last 10 minutes. I wouldn't have had a clue. Oh, that was weird. Darren, now I've missed your question. Yeah, so if I have missed questions, then please do ask those again. Anything you asked in the last 10 minutes, asked again. Captain Matt Russell, yes, channel membership is available. You can hit the red join button, and if you are enjoying the stream this evening, then please do consider hitting the like button on the stream as well, and subscribing if you're new. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future live flights, and of course new videos that will be sort of uploaded in due course. Supermotorhead, wow, there's loads of viewers on YouTube but only 2 on Twitch. Yeah, we're still new on Twitch and Facebook, so if you're watching us on Twitch or Facebook, you can share the love. Wayne, you were hoovering the cabin before I boarded. Fantastic. Simpilot Clone, do I sometimes have the problem where the flight plan gets screwed and points you directly to the runway? Yeah, sadly that does happen. You just need to know how to handle that. Make sure you pull the heading bug, fly straight and level, and then normally you're okay. You can go back direct to where you want to go. Simon, for a flight on VATSIM, I would do a flight that you are 100% confident with, one you've done loads of times, ones you know inside out and backwards, so nothing's going to throw you. Darren, you thought I was a bit slow, now you know why. Oh, no, that's nothing to do with the delay, mate. Gav says hi, Gav. Over in Australia, you've made it up to catch the stream. Excellent. Oh, great to have you on board. Thanks for stopping by. A320, what kind of approach are we doing in Innsbruck today? At the moment, it could go one of either way. VATSIM isn't online, so we've basically got the choice. The wind's 360 at 3. Technically, it favours runway 8. but it's negligible. We'll see. We'll see. We've probably got another 20 minutes before I need to make that decision. Captain Matt, you can't see the join button. It should be next to the subscribe button, if that's still showing for you. I think it all depends on whether you're watching the video in whether you're watching it on a phone, a tablet, TV, computer. Does anyone watch YouTube on a computer these days? Aside from those of you currently flying alongside me. Shampalo, what is the weather? The weather's pretty good. We've just got some high level cloud. All's good there. Dark, looks like some traffic conflict on descent. Yeah, that's where ATC comes in handy, doesn't it? Barley Bob on Twitch, thank you for following. Pilot Pack, yeah, some nice sky ahead. Just dusk, isn't it? A nice dusk sky. TechG, did they mess with the controls with FlightSim 2020? You've had to reset some things. I've heard a lot of people saying that. Thankfully mine were okay, but it is weird, isn't it? Danny, I don't know the reason for why my sim brief sometimes gives you daft altitudes. In fact, when I originally planned this flight, I think it was giving me flight level 200. Now, I'm not flying that. Jean-Paul, no, we're not on live weather. The simulator currently has a bug at the minute, so live weather's no good to us. Oh, Captain, you're on your phone streaming to the TV. Ah, excellent. I think the join button is obviously on your phone. If you did want to check that out, then it's on. It's just below the video of the stream. Air 37, last time you flew into Innsbruck, you went into the mountain in bad weather. Thank God we're in a simulator, right? Darren, you're a PC kind of guy, fair enough. Kieran, crashes to desktop won't be fixed till the 24th of August. Well, let's hope they fix some things with the hotfix coming out early next week. So we're just coming over Hokkaido now. Which, if you have a look, is just there. You can see we're just reaching the Italian mainland. Richard, good evening. You're about 10 minutes behind. Someone else wanting a place at the table. When we land, I'll get the drinks in, Richard. Assuming we get down safely, that is. So those of you sat on the left-hand side of the aircraft haven't really had too much to enjoy visually. You just had the Black Sea, not the Black Sea, but the the view was blackness of the sea. Captain Matt Russell, there's no rejoin button anyway. I don't know if there's something in your personal YouTube settings then that doesn't show that up. It's definitely there. We've got channel members. We can see all the channel members there. We've got Air Trooper 37, Richard, Brian, Wayne. We've got Nick. We've got Dark as well. We've got Pilot Pat. Talia Johnson is there as well. All the channel members. Always great to have them on board. Dreamland, can you ask how do I get all the liveries like Lufthansa into the simulator? So all my liveries are the default A320 liveries, which you can download from flightsim.to, and then you just sort of you put them in. If you want to know how to do it on VATSIM, check out our Discord server, and thanks to channel member Nick, he has written some very, very clear instructions on how to get that all set up for if you're flying on VATSIM. Dr. Gregory House, higher altitude, slower speed? No, no, no. Higher altitude, faster speed. Slower indicated airspeed, but faster speed. Darren, you're having an am still. Wayne, how many times did you try that ILS tutorial at Newcastle? I should have picked a different airport. Captain, you don't think it's your settings because you've joined the channel today? That's really strange, Captain. I'm not sure why that's not there. Can anybody else not see the join button? Danny, thank you so much for your donation, Danny. I know you're a great supporter of the channel. Always great fun to have you alongside as me as well. And Danny says, so, are we getting nervous? No, what I'm getting nervous about is which runway do we pick. I'm getting nervous about too much traffic coming into Innsbruck and no ATC. That's what I'll get nervous about. I don't mind either doing the localizer or the RMP to runway 8. Brian, are you correct there are 2 model matching packs to install? I don't know. Nick, have you updated it? Are there 2 now? Ooh, look, civilization down there. Ronald, last week you flew the FlyByWire 320 to Keflavik was somehow ran out of fuel halfway. Were you on live weather all the way through? Lamb source fire, that is correct. Air is less dense, so the plane goes vroom vroom. Technical term, that, isn't it? Just keep updating this weather. Wind is now 180 at 3. That's done a complete 180. Let's get a proper meta. Destination fuel below minimums. Hit the fuel prediction page. That may update. Well, according to the OFP, it wasn't too bad. I'll check that out in a minute when we get to Vic. How long have we been flying for? About an hour? 56 minutes. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, we're actually well ahead of schedule. Well ahead of schedule. Oh, that's because we're flying higher. Yes, of course. 2.9 tons of fuel. We've got 3.9 tons of fuel. Well, we've got loads of fuel, so I'm not quite sure what's going on just there. Captain Matt Russell, thank you so much, Captain, for joining. You managed to find it. Where was it hiding? Welcome to the First Officers Club, Captain Matt. Thank you so much for joining. Free drinks on board all our flights. Oh, you found a link to it. That's good enough. Now, ordinarily, if I wasn't sure which runway the guys were using into Innsbruck, then I would check out Flight Radar 24 and have a look. But there's no actual aircraft landing at Innsbruck. I think they're only getting about 4 or 5 a day there at the minute. Scheduled flights. When you've not seen HC for a while, is he out there doing the real thing? It's the holiday season, Wayne. I myself will be going away in a few days. You're going to have to make do without me for a week. I'm sure you'll survive. GD, last night the Autopilot tried to land you on a highway next to Seattle Airport. Ah. It wasn't an offset localizer, was it? I'm not that familiar with Seattle. Right, if the wind's light and variable, the preferred runway is to use, not runway 8, but our opposite number, runway 26. Which is Lock R, runway 26. Which begins at the Rottenberg, NDB.
Traffic, Lufthansa 15 Foxtrot is making our descent down to flight level 140 for the Arnau 08 by the Breno 3 Bravo approach.
Okay, Doc, are you going for 08? Oh hell, go on then, let's stick with 08. He's made the call now. I now know there's other traffic on VATSIM using runway 08, so we'll go with it. When am I off to Bognor Regis? Hey, you can't beat Butlins. Captain Matt, you should be sleeping. You're up at 4 AM for work, but finishing the stream first. Sleep on board until we land, mate. We'll be on the ground in 40 minutes. Right, well that means we need to start doing some prep. Okay, so we are going to arrive at Breno. We're going to arrive at Breno. We want to be above flight level 14,000 feet. And we want to be at Elmham. Elmham at 13,000 feet. That's the important one. So let's pop that in here. Go to the progress page. $80 miles away. So it looks like we're going to start our descent in a couple of minutes. Not that far away now, are we? So we're currently at flight level 380, and descent is probably about 75 miles away. So yeah, we're probably there. So what I will do just before we start heading down is we'll send a weather request off. Get that in. Time to let the passengers know. Down we're going to 13,000 feet. So given the high elevation of this airport, the transition altitude is normally given by ATC. ATC not online, so we're going to go with 13,000 feet as our 13,000 feet will be our transition altitude. I'm just having a look to see if we've got anything. No, we've got no ATC online at all coming into Innsbruck. So anyway, we're on our way down now. So let me just quickly brief this. So the platform altitude is at Whiskey India 750. and we need to be at 13,000 feet. Once we get there, it's a 3.6 degree descent. Minimum safe altitude, well, so from Elnham, which is where we're beginning our approach, it is very, very high, of course. So as we come in, it's going to be 14,500 feet. Lots of terrain around us. And then obviously as we're going down, it drops to 13.7. Minimums to start the approach. We need at least 2.4 kilometers, which it is. Visibility is good. Decision altitude is 2,900 feet. That's the minimum descent altitude as well for this. QNH. Just print this off. Is 1011. As I will use live weather for this. There's no ILS. The elevation of the runway as we land is 1,907. And the missed approach is 9,500. Climb via the RNAV missed approach track to the Ratton and hold. Yes, if only it was that easy. Sadly, we have no go-around track here yet in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, so a couple of things we're going to pop in just here onto the RadNav page. We're going to pop in the Oscar Echo Victor Lock DME. Oh. I'm trying to put it in the VOR1. Let's put it in 111.1. We can put the Rattenberg NDB in there as well, which is RTT. Actually, once again, I've put that on the wrong side, because if all goes to pot, it's the RTT that I need to see on the captain's side. So that's on, and that's on as well. So we can see Breno. How many miles away are we? So we're good at the moment, and as we're descending down towards Breno, we're just checking that minimum off-route altitude is okay. We can safely get down to 130. So let's go ahead and set that now. And we're going to go local pressure. And let's also put in the information into McDo. So that QNH was 1011. Temperature is 17. Wind is variable at 3, so let's call that 080 at 3. Transition altitude, which we've already called 13,000 feet, and minimum descent altitude is 2900, or decision altitude. There we go. Now with this approach, we want to, just like we did with Tivat, we want to configure everything really nice and early. So I'm getting seatbelt signs on now. We'll run the approach checklist. Approach. Minimum set both side. End of motor selector is norm. Electronic flyback is stowed. We've briefed our approach. 13,000 feet. We hold 13,000 feet at max speed of 175 knots. 1750. We start that descent 3.6 degrees. All the way down. We've also got the VDEV block showing just that. Innsbruck traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, passing flight level 210, overhead Brino, now on the Brino 3 Bravo arrival, starting our approach for the RMP runway 08. Simon, thank you very much for your good luck message and donation. Good luck indeed. And of course, not just to me, but all the other pilots that are flying along with me. Brian, don't mind having the lights on during the approach as it is now, but we're going to turn them off once we start. Sorry, I get the lights on for the cruise, but we'll turn them down for the approach because I want to be able to see out the window. What I'm also going to do is I now want to activate the approach phase, so if I pull the heading bug...
EG3 for Alpha Mike, can you just confirm distance to Whiskey Foxtrot 600 please, as we're on the approach as well?
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, I'm currently 16 miles inbound LMM.
Roger that, EG3 for Alpha Mike will slow down and vector yourself out to give some space for you.
Roger, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, and we're still showing 290 knots indicated. So that ATC call just came at the wrong time for me, as I want to activate the approach phase. That's done. It's still showing LMM. That's fine. So hopefully, even though that's showing the numbers there, okay, so we can start slowing the departure down in a moment. I'm just checking. Just got a discrepancy here. Yeah, we're 22 miles to Elnham, so I'm not quite sure what this is showing. That's 9 miles to Whiskey India 600. So let's slow that rate of descent down. Oop, wrong way. We've got plenty of time now, and that will give us now time to start rolling the speed back as well. And we want to be configured by the time we get to Elnham. So now the speed's starting to drop off. So we want to be nice and slow, gear down, and absolutely no rushing at all. So when I got that call from, I think it was Dark, asking me my distance, I got very confused there because the top right is giving me completely different information. Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is now 3 miles inbound Whiskey India 600. So now it's going to hopefully now follow this track line round, which gives us plenty of time to slow down. You can see now we're coming to 240 knots. We're going to get flaps 1 out, we're going to get flaps 2 out, we're going to get the gear down, and flaps 3 all the way down the approach. It wants to be a very slow approach. So I won't be paying too much attention now, I'm afraid, guys, to the chat, as I need to concentrate on this as we start to get ready. We're coming up on 13,000 feet. And we'll be using nav FPA for this.
This is 34 Alpha Mike. Can you just confirm your speed, please?
34 Alpha Mike slowing down now, passing 210 knots for 180 knots.
Roger that, easy 34 Mike.
So we're just at 210, which is our green dot speed.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, you may have noticed that we have just begun our final descent into our destination. If you could now assist the cabin crew by tidying up your tray table and handing them any litter as they come around, that would be most appreciated. For safety reasons, we ask now that you please turn off all electronic devices or switch them to airplane mode until after we have landed. Please note that the aircraft toilets are now out of use. If you wish to become a Easyjetsimpilot channel member, please contact a member of your cab crew who will be happy to assist you. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed your flight.
Okay, we're about to start making this turn, so we're going to go flaps 1, speed checked, flaps 1. And I'm now going to put in the live weather. Live weather is now on, which makes it even more worrisome as we can't see the ground anymore. So we're now at the right altitude, 13,000 feet, and slowing. Talia watches everyone drop out of the stream as people turn off the electronic devices. So the moment we start the descent is at Whiskey India 750, and it is a 3.6 degree descent angle. Thank you for reminding me, Seb, regarding the QNH now as I've just flicked over to live weather. That's obviously very important in an approach such as this. Might get some turbulence as well. So we'll see if we can get those self-loading cargo passengers screaming away, shall we? Rambo, no, this is not the stock Airbus. This is the fly-by-wire mod. Plenty of turbulence. I can see the aircraft bobbing up and down. Okay, flaps 2, speed checked. Flaps 2. No terrain appearing yet on the navigation display. So there's a positive. And I'm just turning some of the lighting down so the eyes can adjust to outside. What was it? the American Airlines pilot said, I think it was American Airlines, my apologies if I'm wrong, before sadly they crashed. I hate flying around in the dark in bad weather when I've no idea where we're going. Well, let's hopefully we're a little bit more prepped than that. Okay, so I'm going to set a speed of 150 knots. And we're going to get the landing gear down for the full approach. Here comes the start of the approach. Self-loading cargo having a mare. Turbulence. Nothing to worry about. I've never done this approach in the dark, so this could be fun. I do hate that it jumps ever so slightly. So 3.6 degrees. And let's pull that now. 3.6 degrees. Nav FPA. Down we go. We've got the lights on. Just starting to see some ground clutter arrive now. So this is now taking straight to Whiskey India 751, which is fine. It's a nice straight line. After 751 we've got that right deviation on a heading of 113. Again, information there coming from the charts. So again, not paying much attention to the chat, guys, just because, well, concentrating rather hard at the minute. Innsbruck traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is now 24 miles inbound on the RMP approach, runway 08, passing 11,000. I'm also going to turn off the tablet as well. I don't want any
Folks, traffic DLH 15 Foxtrot is just over Elman for the RMP approach 08.
and Innsbruck traffic Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is speed 150 knots.
Thank you for that, Easy 34 Alpha Mike. We'll slow down to a minimum approach speed to give you clearance.
Oh, why has everything just suddenly got brighter? Oh, I don't like that. That's not going to help me see out the window, is it? That's very weird. I don't like that one bit. So you can see the valley now coming on the terrain display, so that's good. So that's me just peering over the glare shield. Let's get the rest of the lights on.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Flaps 3. Now we're starting to get visual with the ground, which I'm kind of glad about, and the fact that it's still a few thousand feet beneath me. Flaps full. So I should have actually set the missed approach altitude much sooner than that, but it's done. It was quite a long time on the approach, but landing checklist, cabin is secured. Auto thrust speed going at altitude 9,500 feet set. And now we're visual, just reducing that descent rate a little bit, and I can just see the runway lights there. Don't mind telling you, the heart's racing a little bit. Certainly not an approach for the faint-hearted in the daytime, let alone the nighttime. Rambo, you are correct. You'd normally get the APU on in case anything went wrong.
Traffic.
We can do that actually.
7 and push and start.
Give those engines max performance. Now we're visual with the runway. We can look at removing the autopilot in a moment.
2,500.
Radio altimeter live. Just a little bit high on that approach, as we can just start to see those pappies. So we're about to take off the autopilot in the simulator. I'm going to do the flight directors first. So autopilot 1 and 2 is off. I now have control. And we're back to manage speed as we just roll that speed back. Using the pappies now.
1,000.
And we'll try and get hold of that centre line. There we go. 2 white, 2 red,
1,000. 1,000. 1,000.
radio altimeter is going crazy with the terrain beneath
100
us.
above. Minimum.
Continue. And that wind is light and variable, so not giving us too many issues. Again, just want to try and get on that centre line a little bit more.
500.
500, approach stable.
400. 300. 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
And spoilers deployed, reversers on. Oh, I forgot I can't look around whilst trying to use the rudder. Another problem is, we need to fix. 70 knots, reversers off. And we've got traffic behind us, so let's get off this runway and vacate. Again, it's not the longest runway in the world, so I'm not too bothered about a butter landing at this place.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until
That's
the
kind of
fasten seat
frustrating.
sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, checking in the seat pocket.
We're going to have to go through him because I didn't see any calls or hear any calls on Unicom.
When opening the lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your EasyJet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or
Innsbruck
EasyJet.
traffic, DLH-1 flight Foxtrot is 10 miles to the runway.
Innsbruck traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike has vacated runway. There was traffic just taxiing onto the runway, but I'd heard no calls. So as to where we park up, I don't think that really matters. I don't actually think there's parking stands here. The marshallers would normally bring you in. That looks good. We'll go there.
Innsbruck traffic, the Roger 38, Airbus A320 starting up.
And could have done with a PM to sort out the radios and not fry the ground crew, but never mind. Okay, job done. Parking brakes set, engine 1 and engine 2.
Austin 9103, do you copy? This is Austin 127 holding short runway 26 at Innsbruck. Austin 9103. traffic, DLH15 Foxtrot is 2 miles to touchdown.
Good luck, Dark Fury. My strobes are on. I'm still looking for. I'm just looking for some lights from him.
Roger 38 taxing to 108 via Bravo. Correction 26.
Let me just go in and get the strobe lights on. They should have been turned off on touchdown. There we go. So here's Dark. Sadly, I can't get there quick enough. But he's glowing purple, so we can see him. It's kind of good that he's glowing dark. It means we can actually see what he's doing. Oh, there he is. He's down. Well done, Dark Fury. That looked like a top landing to me. Now, as long as he stops before the end of the runway, then all is well. There's a slight runway incursion. But there we are. So, for those of you that joined a little late on,
The A318 to the Lufthansa, Airbus A320 just seeming to vacate.
I'm just going to come off VATSIM. There we go. Yeah, so for those of you that joined the chat and the stream a little bit later on, I explained right at the very start. This is has been what's called a captain's only stream, in that the two airports we departed from, the airport we departed from and the airport we landed at, the two airports involved in the stream tonight, are both Category C airports, meaning that they are captains only landings and takeoffs due to the complex nature and procedures involved. Tivat has high terrain all around it, offset localizers, a difficult circle to land approach as well, and of course Innsbruck is well, it's infamous Innsbruck, isn't it? So we know all about Innsbruck and how the approach there is, as we have just seen. So in order for pilots to be able to land and depart from these airports, they have to undergo special training in simulators. They have to go through special check rides before they're allowed to do specific arrivals and landings here. A few extra hours in the simulator, lots of other things they need to remember, things like turning on the APU, for example, which I forgot, and that's there. So we've got maximum engine performance in the event of a go around. We need to get the aircraft up and out of this valley before we turn and smash into some granite. Not what is required. So thank you very much everybody for joining me on the stream. There'll be no stream tomorrow, so it's hopefully we're going to be back on Sunday. As I say, I will be going away next week, but we will also have a long haul flight on Monday to look forward to before that. Big shout out to everybody who has donated and contributed to the stream throughout the flight this evening. Thank you so much to you guys as well. Thank you to those who have flown with me on the flight tonight. Two very difficult airports, so hats off to you for doing that with me. And a big thank you as always to our Easyjetsimpilot channel members who who as always are very, very supportive of the channel. That's really, really appreciated. And to the new channel members as well this evening that have joined, hope to see you again on future streams. Thanks very much guys. I look forward to seeing you all again next time. Speak to you very soon. Bye bye.